who do you see running for president on the Democrat side in 2028?
My favorite question. I could jump through this thing and kiss you. I will say this, and I will defend this to the nth degree. I have never seen a political party any time in my career in political consulting, understand I'm 80 years old, that has more talent than the Democratic Party has today. And we never showed anybody how deep and profound that talent, that bench is. And as I said, Harris was actually turned out to be a somewhat better candidate than I thought, and she was our seventh string quarterback. And if we'd had a competition, and people would have seen, and I'm always reluctant to start naming names because I'm always going to leave somebody out, but there are 6 or 7 people in this party that are all-world communicators. And I did a video, I should look at it. Stephen A. Smith said he may have to run because there's no talent in the Democratic Party. I said, Stephen A., are you crazy? I mean, this is real. And I know a lot of these people. They're all world communicators. And I want them all to run because the image of the Democratic Party right now is we're urban and we're old. Oh, they just care about the cities and they're all old. And I could see where people would think that. But the truth of the matter is, at the gubernatorial and senatorial level, there is just awesome talent in today's party. There really is. And I appreciate your call. And have faith because in 2028, people are going to see some really all-star players out there.
And thank you. Let's go to Southern California. Bill, what do you got?
Well, I want to take issue with what James Carville said, and that you agreed with, that the Palestinians had the keys to the kingdom going back to Arafat and the Oslo Accords. The problem the Palestinians had with it was all throughout the negotiations, they were saying, we want to have more control of the process. And Israel and the United States would not do that. All the control of the process was in the hands of the Israelis, and there was just no trust there because the Israelis had broken their word many times to the Palestinians over the last 30 years before that. And so there's just no way Arafat could take that deal. That's what he said. Because, even though it looked good on paper, there was no trust that the Israelis would actually keep their word because they were saying, oh, yeah, we want a two-state solution, but they're constantly building settlements to undermine it all the time. So there's no trust. And
James?
I could let you respond.
Go ahead, start.
First of all, you go ahead, then I'll go because I have.
All right. So look, whatever Arafat said about the reasons for him not accepting the deal, A, are secondary. B, the actual deal itself, when you're talking about, and there were security guarantees as part of the deal as well. So this was not just a sort of Israeli promise. Oh, we promise we're going to do this and this and that. It was also backed up by the U.S. and others who were going to support whatever the agreement was. So to just say, well, Arafat didn't trust it, then there's no reason for Arafat to be at the table at all. Because using that theory, you can say, no matter what the offer is, Arafat's going to turn it down because he doesn't trust it, right? So then there's no need to even begin the process of negotiation. Bill, is that wrong?
Yeah, because they could have, given a hard deadline and said, okay, the Palestinians can move in and, remove the settlers if they don't get out and stuff. And they weren't doing that. It was like, oh, we'll take care of it when they hadn't taken care of anything to help the Palestinians the last 33 years. And the Palestinians are saying, we need to have more part of the process. And
when you say that they weren't doing anything to help the Palestinians in the past 33, you mean after they invaded Israel, right? So it's not really the 33 years. You mean like post Yom Kippur War in 73? I mean, what era are we talking about where the Palestinians are just the victims, right, as opposed to the aggressors? But James, go ahead.
Let me dispose of this very quickly. Jimmy Carter, Menachem Begin, Yasser Arafat made a deal in Sadat on Egypt. You know how many people have died on the Israeli-Egyptian border since that? None. All right? That understand. And you say, well, you can't trust the Israelis. They haven't invaded, and there were so many guarantees in that negotiation. 96% of all the occupied territories were going to be returned to the Palestinian state. There was 4% that didn't make logistical sense, so they actually gave up another 4% of land to make the entire thing whole. There were international safeguards. The Prime Minister of Israel was committed to this. They were ready to go, and they didn't sign it. But understand, in history, you have an example of a very hugely successful peace. Now, we've paid in the best money we've spent. You talk about foreign aid. We both have given enormous money over the years to both Israel and Egypt. But you know what? No one is dying. There's no goddamn war there. And so there is a history of people keeping their word. And I'll make that point. And I'm sorry, Bill, but I understand that the Palestinian story is a terribly unfortunate story. I have sympathy for them. I actually think they're enormously talented people, but they have not had the leadership that they deserve. And I think I'll stand by that until my dying day.